In this release, Graham will guide us through a classic long graduated haircut. Yo-Yo has a depth of a level 2. She has oriental hair with medium density and straight texture. She has a warm skin tone and a square face shape. The hair is below shoulder in length.
My name is Graham Oglesby and I'm a hairdressing lecturer. This is my model Yo-Yo, and today I'm actually going to be guiding you through a classic long graduated haircut, which is a required element for the MVQ Level 2 program. Okay, so the required angle for this haircut is 135 degrees, which means from the crown area to the occipital bone, the elevation should more or less come out at a 90-degree angle here. However, once you pull the hair up to it, that brings it into 135 degrees. It is possible to achieve a haircut like this with 180 degrees if your client has excess length through the back. However, be mindful that short hair naturally pushes into long hair, and if there is too much weight at the bottom, then the shorter hair on the top will have an adverse effect. So instead of you getting volume and softness, the weight will just naturally want to gravitate towards the perimeter and sit very flat. First of all, I'm going to show you what a 180-degree angle would look like through this shape by simply taking a vertical section through the crown, and the idea would be to take the external length from the perimeter and use that as your guide and cut a flat line across here. This is what would give you 180. But as I've said previous, be aware that that is quite a severe angle for a long shape, and as gravity will work, the short hair will naturally guide and push through into the longer perimeter and create a flatter look, which probably is not going to be suitable for your client. So what we really need to be looking at is establishing a softer angle within the back area that evolves around 135 degrees, and that would be approximately about there. If you could imagine placing a protractor around the back of the head, this being 180, this being 0 at the bottom, 90 in the middle, and then in between 90 and 180, 135.
Graham initially shows us the essential 135-degree angle required for an accurate result. Graham creates a horseshoe section around the parietal ridge, which incorporates a triangular section in the fringe area. He then creates a horizontal section from the back of the ear on both sides, just above the occipital bone. He then divides the remaining horseshoe and the midsection with a central vertical section.
Okay, so this is the sequence of sections that I'm using today on Yo-Yo's hair. I've started by placing a section through the back area. This bottom area is going to be used to establish my classic sort of one-length square line. This mid area is actually going to be brought down and also incorporated into the outline shape. The reason why I've separated this area is so that as I get to the top of the ears, I can elongate my sections through into a horseshoe shape through to the side, and that allows me to constantly keep the shape of my section parallel to the line that I'm cutting through the perimeter. Okay, so you can see that I've separated through the top area into 3 panels here. These two panels are essentially going to be where I establish and build into my 135-degree angle from the length, and this triangular section at the front will be where I actually establish and building a nice sort of fringe shape too.
Graham begins his process by standing his model up. He ensures her feet are parallel and she holds the back of the chair for stability. If you require your model or client to stand for long periods, please be mindful of their comfort. Graham divides the back section into two equal parts, horizontally and vertically, ensuring enough hair density for his important guide in the back. This is dependent on texture and density of hair. Graham cuts the right-hand side first. He puts his comb in with his scissors underneath, resting his finger, ensuring his comb comes down square, and cuts a square line. Graham then assesses his length. Graham then repeats the same process on the opposite side. Graham then checks his square line with his comb using tension. He is mindful of a straight comb and stable hands. Graham then double checks visually with his fingers. Graham then brings down his second section and applies the same process using his underneath as a guide. Again, his comb goes in, his scissors are placed behind the comb, he combs down to meet his underneath guide and cuts a square line. Graham works from the centre out on both sides. Graham then checks and assesses his shape. Graham then brings down his two side areas. Please note that Yo-Yo has an existing internal shape. Therefore, Graham brings the entire section down to the guideline. If there were not an existing internal shape, you would work in smaller horizontal sections. Graham then combs the hair back and over the shoulders. He uses his comb placed vertically on the shoulder blade to assist. If the hair is combed across the shoulders, the shape might round, losing its square line. Then Graham cuts a square line, starting in the centre, working out on both sides, using his underneath as a guide. Graham then assesses length and accuracy of line. he refines his shape in his fingers. Graham now takes a vertical section which he splits into two. He works with the top half, pulling the hair to 135 degrees to the head and cuts a line parallel to the head shape. Please note, Graham stands on the right hand side, enabling him to see both sides of the head in order to achieve a correct angle. He also raises his elbow to aid with his angle. Graham then picks up the lower half, drops out the outline, elevates to 135 degrees, slightly over-directing the bottom of the section, uses his guide from the perimeter and connects his perimeter to his internal shape. Graham continues with parallel vertical sections with the same process, using his previous section as a guide, mindful to maintain his 135-degree angle with slight over-direction to the previous section. The over-direction builds a little weight towards the back of the ear. Once Graham reaches the round of the head, the over-direction increases in order to fill out the weaker area behind the ears. Graham continues with this process until he reaches the back of the ear. Graham then checks the length from the centre to the outside. Graham repeats the same process on his second side. He stands on the same side for accuracy of angle. Halfway through the second side, Graham chooses to cross-check horizontally to ensure correct balance. Once the second side is completed, he then checks his length on both sides. Now Graham brings down the top section, leaving the fringe. He uses the guide from the back and takes a vertical section up and over and cuts a parallel line with his fingers square. Graham continues on the left-hand side, taking curved vertical sections, over-directing to the previous section, and cuts a parallel line following his guide. Please note, when working over the crown area, Graham is mindful of a clean connection. Graham continues his process down into the sides by the ear, again increasing the over direction to achieve a soft perimeter shape. Graham repeats the same process on the second side. He stands in the same position as his back area, so he can use his elbow angle for accuracy, and so he can follow the line from the back, again mindful of correct over direction. Graham cross-checks horizontally through the top, ensuring that the elevation is the same as his initial cutting line. Now Graham works with the triangle area in the front. He takes a horizontal section with slight elevation, over-directing to the right-hand side. This will ensure a short to long length. Once he achieves his desired length in the fringe, he connects visually with freehand techniques into his perimeter. Graham repeats the same process throughout the triangle, connecting his fringe. Graham then repeats the same process with his entire triangle, this time with slight elevation and over-directing to the left to achieve a bevel in the fringe. Graham then connects his perimeter length using freehand techniques. Graham assesses his balance and movement. Then Graham dries and irons his shape, smoothing the cuticle as he proceeds.
Okay, so here we have my finished classic long graduated technique. I think you'll agree with me, it's a very, very commercial look, so a technique that can be adapted really well within the salon environment for your clients. Okay, just to recap on the internal shape, remember what I said at the beginning, the required element and degree of elevation for this haircut is 135 degrees, which approximates from the top of the crown, from the occipital bone, elevated up into this area here. And as we've come through into the top area, we've come through with subsequent sections and actually over-directed the hair up into 180 degrees so that we can maximise the length over the ear and over the shoulders. Okay, so this has allowed me to maintain the length of the fringe and the weight of the fringe which I wanted to do, but it's also allowed me from that fringe to slice down into my overall length here. So the connection from these 2 points is quite steep. If the fringe was a lot longer, we would be able to use a very, very simple C-shaped graduation where the hair is over-directed forward and the line is just very, very clean. But you find that when you're actually introducing sort of shorter shapes at the front into much contrasting longer lengths, then you tend to have to adopt a much more sort of freer approach to how you actually blend and connect those areas in. So there you have it, a classic long graduated technique.
The final result, an adaptable commercial technique for the salon. Elegant layers with a soft outline releasing graceful and fluid movement.